Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Apple Studio display and see how this particular display holds up in 2025. Now, here's some really big things to keep in mind here. When you're going to go through and pick up a display, it does make a lot of sense to go and buy a display that can stand the test of time, that's going to look fairly good for a majority of time. And I do think with a device like an Apple Studio display, these things still look pretty good. I think they're pretty good for the most part, but there might be some other options out there too. And for the price, I do think there could be some better options out there, which we'll talk about all throughout this whole entire video. Now, if you do want to go through and pick up some of these types of devices or some of these types of monitors I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, here's the thing about the Apple Studio display. I definitely do think for the most part, if you're about to go through and pick up a monitor, this monitor, is one that Apple basically made, and, it definitely gives you a good experience, right? Like, I don't want to hate on it too much because it does actually give you a pretty solid type of experience, and it's not really like a bad type of display. I think it's actually a pretty solid one when it actually comes down to it. The size of this display is essentially 27 inches. So it's basically the same size display that we got inside of our previous types of, studio displays as well. If you remember basically the previous model, like with, LG Ultrafine 5K display, which is actually the one that I'm currently using, those types of displays do give you essentially the same type of experience. So nothing really changes there for the most part. It's essentially more or less the exact same kind of thing, which I think is a nice thing. There's not really too much to hate on there either. Now you have to remember with these types of displays, they're still going to be giving you like a pretty decent type of array. So that it's a 5K display, right? So that in and of itself is a very nice thing to have. It's also going to go through and it's basically giving you 600 nits of brightness, which really is not the best, right? If you're going to go through and pick up a device, you probably want a little bit of a nicer type of display. And unfortunately with this one, you are a little bit limited when it kind of comes down to it. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but like I said before, if you are wanting a better type of display, there's definitely better types of panels out there than these ones. Now, you're also getting built inside of it, which is pretty crazy. You're essentially getting an Apple A13 Bionic chip inside. So this monitor actually has the same chipset as the iPhone 11 inside of it. The reason why Apple did that was because they wanted to go through and kind of give you more power inside of these particular, monitors, so then you could go through and kind of relieve some of that power from your Mac or from your other device. And that chipset is really there to help power things like Center Stage and spatial audio and things like Hey Siri. So that is kind of a nice thing, it's kind of a cool kind of tweak to have inside of a monitor. And I'm honestly very surprised that more types of companies don't actually go through and actually give us really big type of, power jumps by going through and getting a device with a, with built-in type of, power energy expansion that way. So I've always felt like that is something that, companies could actually take more advantage of. And I do feel like in the future, there's could be something that could end up happening too, where more companies will actually go through and basically give us more type of capability and more power and more, everything in that particular situation, like more chipsets, more powerful chipsets built inside of their devices. So I do think that's actually a really nice thing kind of going on here. We'll have to kind of wait and see what kind of ends up happening, but I do think this is in and of itself a really cool little thing that we have inside of this type of device when it comes down to it. Now, I would also add, for the most part, if you're going to go through and pick up one of these types of devices, you're also going to have to remember that these types of devices on the backside are giving you some types of USB ports. So you're essentially getting one Thunderbolt port on the backside. So it's a USB Type-C port, which is great. I love having USB-C and I love having Thunderbolt. And then you're getting 3 other USB Type-C ports. So this as well is something that's really nice to have. You're going to be able to go through and basically get that type of capability there, which again is a very, very cool thing to have inside of a device. So if you're about to go through and pick up some sort of a monitor, you're going to be getting that type of Thunderbolt display, which is really nice. And that is in and of itself going to make this device feel that much better when it kind of comes down to it as well. So that's another really cool thing. The thing, when I look at this type of device, there's a lot of good stuff going on for it, right? The display itself is really good. It powers up everything you'd want to power it up with. So that in and of itself is really nice. The speakers inside of it are actually pretty good as well. So this thing does have some built-in speakers and they're actually pretty decent. The center stage capability with its webcam is actually very, very nice as well. And because it is kind of built by Apple, it's designed to be seamlessly connected to things, inside of your monitor with your Mac products. You can also use it with other devices too, like it's not just only for Apple products. You can use it with any device that supports like USB-C out, but keep in mind that if you do want like the best type of experience here, it probably is going to be with something, like potentially like one of these other types of devices, right? Like with a Mac one. But there are a few cons within this type of product as well, which do kind of strike me off a little bit. Number one, it does have kind of a higher price to it. For what this monitor is giving you, I feel like it's really not worth the money for it to give you this type of price, if I'm being honest. Like, I feel like there are probably better options out there, and that's kind of how I just feel about that. Like, I feel like Apple could be giving us a little bit of a better experience, and I feel like for the price tag, that's kind of the main issue that I kind of run into here. It's not a bad product by any means. Like, I do think it's actually pretty good, but I just feel like from that standpoint, there could maybe be a little bit of a better type of experience we could be getting from these types of devices. Albeit it's not the biggest deal in the world, it is just kind of one of those minor things that I did kind of notice from that particular situation. Now, on top of that, the extra little accessories that you get inside of it are also very weird. Like, you have to pay extra money to get like certain types of stands that are fairly expensive. And also, it's giving you a 60 hertz refresh rate for like $1,000 plus. I feel like once again, these manufacturers could be giving us a little bit of a better type of experience when it comes down to it from that side as well. Like I said before, albeit it's not the biggest deal in the world, that is just going to be one of those other minor things you might end up running into here. And I feel like personally for me, that would be another really annoying thing we'd have to kind of remember here inside of these types of devices. So, I will say there's a lot of pros. There's some cons with this thing. It's not really the worst thing in the world though. Like, this is still like a pretty decent type of monitor, but I say that all to say that I feel like, Apple could be giving us a little bit of a better type of experience here for the most part. Like, if you're about to go through and kind of pick up this monitor, I really do feel like there might be some better options out here. And, because of that, I feel like, maybe you might want to go through and look at a different type of device to go and pick up rather than this one. Like I said before, though, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but when I look at it from like a cost per dollar standpoint, I look at the, let's say the LG Ultrafine 5K display, and I feel like that one is a really good option, right? I feel like for the most part, Apple did a pretty decent job with that one. And that one is probably worth the extra money, or the LG Ultrafine 5K display is worth it to save money and pick up that one rather than to spend more money on something like on this one, the Apple Studio display. Although, like I said, it's nice and everything. It's really cool to have a display like that. I think it does make a lot more sense to go and buy a device that might be giving you a little bit of a better experience. If you want to spend more money, go for this one. But I think I'd rather save money and buy like a used LG Ultrafine 5K display rather than these ones when it comes down to it. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.